this month. And she said, she just could not let herself get down on herself because she did what she could do. And you just have to step in then and say, okay, I'm going to give myself grace.
That's good to know. That's how I felt this week. I mean, I needed to hear that because this week was a rough one for me too.
Mm-hmm. And I think we have to be careful about the line where it says, oh, I'm giving myself grace, when we really know that we were just a little bit lazy. So I'm just throwing a little caution in there because that's for me, because I can say, oh yeah, I got to give myself grace. And yeah, I'll do better next week. But she's just saying, if you know you did everything, then all right, just move on and do better next time, or, maybe not better, but just know that we're kind of all in cycles about who we've contacted and who our newbies are. And so that's what I have to say.
Good. I love it. Yes. And you're so right. It's like, it's not about, if you haven't done the work that you were supposed to do and you could have, that's a different story.
Mm-hmm.
But what she's talking about is when you've done the work and you're just, nobody's ready right now. You're just not, you're not in that phase right now. Then it's okay. Give yourself grace. Just love on people and give them grace. Yeah, that's good for me to hear because I've been there like this whole month. But I'm sure. And that's the important thing is like, you know what? When we are contacting people and we are continuing to contact people and continuing, especially new people that we haven't talked to before, then we know that we are doing what we can. We are putting it out there and we are offering it to them. And we are following up. We're being faithful with our different numbers. And that's what we can do. And then it's up to them and the Lord to bring them to a point where they're ready to get started. So yes, go ahead, Kathleen.
I think I might have my first second leg this week. My one ambassador, Barb, that is my neighbor, who started basically because she came to our yard sale and talked to us, and I got her to start with the E's, and now she's an ambassador. Her daughter-in-law wants to sign up under her.
Nice.
So I'm excited about that.
Congratulations. That is awesome. And way to talk about your sprouts. Good for you. All right. Who else wants to share how their week went real quick? Just go ahead, Kath. There you go.
Okay. Okay. So it was kind of an up and down week. I still have mind games that go on in my head. Like I'll feel great one day and I'll just be whipping them out, and the next day I'm like paralyzed, like nobody wants to hear from me. It's so frustrating, and I'm going to conquer that someday. It's going to be conquered and gone. So it was, I had good days and bad days. But then Friday I did an event at our farmers market. And so that was really good for me just to get out there and really just have to talk to people. So that was really good. I was scared to death to do it. And so that's when I knew I had to do it. It was like, if I'm this scared, I must have to do this. So I did it.
That is awesome. Good for you. And you're right. Like, when we're scared to death to do something, it's a pretty good indication that we should.
Yep. Yep.
Well, way to go, Kathy. That is awesome. And I'm right there with you as far as still riding that roller coaster too much sometimes. And you know what? If we can detach our emotions and just be like, you know what, I'm just going to do the work. I'm going to contact the people. I'm going to go through the steps.
Right.
And I'm not going to think about it. Like, oh, I get so stuck thinking about it. And then it makes it take forever.
I know.
Yeah.
You just got to disconnect that part of our brain.
Exactly.
Did you do like a booth at the farmer's market, or how did you do that? Because I've thought about that, but I don't know like how that would work.
I did. They allow different vendors at our farmers market. So yeah, I saw a gal selling Norwex there one time, and I thought, oh wow, well, I should be able to have a booth too. So yeah, I just set up a table and we gave out just little tiny cup samples of the Slim and the Active, and just, talk to people about Plexus. So
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's
All
a
right.
good idea.
Way to go, Kathy.
thank you.
Let's see. Jesse and Amy, how did your week? Who wants to go?
I'll go.
Okay.
So my week it was a bit hectic with some different things going on, but I did the sip and see on Wednesday, and it was good. It was kind of hilarious. So the gal I did it for mostly just had her adult children able to show up, and then one friend, and this gal brought a friend. But it was hilarious because people were quite open with their opinions as they tasted stuff. And so her son-in-law, as he didn't want to try hardly anything, but he decided, I said, well, just try one thing. And so he tried the Active, and he's like, oh, gross, I hate peach. And I was like, oh, that's lovely. And so then as people were trying the different leans, because I did Slim samples and lean samples and Active samples, and so they were trying the lean, and one lady would wrinkle up her nose at all the chocolate samples and just like say, oh, I'm just gonna have to shut it down. And then one of them actually, she didn't mean to, but it was actually the guy I was doing the sip and see for, gagged, like the very loud, like can't stop it gag. And I was just like, oh my goodness. So it was, had some awkwardness for sure, but for the most part, people laughed it off and then just decided, well, there's different flavors for everyone, so everyone maybe doesn't like each one. So there were those aspects of it, and it's interesting because I have never had a sip and see. I've done numerous ones. I've even traveled out of state and done some, or done one out of state, but I have never had a sip and see where people were ready to order that day. And so it'd be super easy to get discouraged because I've done like, oh, I don't know how many. I mean, not tons, but like probably 6 of them by now. And I've never had people ready to order that day. So it'd be really easy to just be like, why even do them? But I've found that a lot of times I think it's more for educating the ambassador. And it's just, they get to see more about the products as I share, and just, yeah, I think build their confidence more than anything. And then sometimes in the following weeks or months, sometimes those people will eventually have seen enough information that they're ready to sign up. So yeah, it wasn't just like, I've never had one like that everyone raves about, like they had 6 people sign up at their sip and see. Haven't had one of those yet, but yeah, it was still, I would say, overall good.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I haven't had very many where people, I've had 1 or 2, but you know what I found makes the bigger difference is if these people have already, like the ambassador who's hosting it has already been talking to these people previously, and this is not their first contact. This is not their first exposure. Yeah. Because I've had a couple where people signed up, but then I've had some where they just, nobody was ready, and it was because they were all a little newer. But I will say one thing I learned off of the sip and see that we did in Spokane last week with Kelly Higginbotham. She's an Emerald, and we asked her to just come speak at our sip and see, and she was like, oh sure, yeah, that sounds fun. And she was going to bring some of her people and so on. But she said, she's like, I really keep it super casual and really simple. I don't go super in depth or anything like that, because she said, I want everybody to know that they can do this too. She's very much a blue personality. She's a blue-red. Yes, she's blue-red. And so she said, I just keep it fun and casual and simple and just share enthusiastically. And she said, I just want people to know that they can do it too. And that one, I mean, I can take no credit for that whatsoever because I didn't do anything, but they had 4 people sign up off of that one, which was like probably the best we've ever done. Right, Mother? 4? Leela had 4 this past week. They didn't all sign up that night because we didn't have a hold of any codes until the next morning, but we got some, and then they signed up the next day.
I thought it was just 3.
Maybe it was just 3.
Thinking so.
Might have just been 3. But anyway, either way, we thought that was pretty good.
Yeah.
All right. Amy, if you want to go ahead and share, I'm going to mute myself so I can take care of my kiddos here.
Hey, I have no idea why my video is not showing, but so I had a super busy life week, not Plexus week, but I did have 4 different opportunities to chat with people about it. One was about Ease, my aunt, and one was about hormones. And then one was about anxiety and depression. So that was good. The other one was overall just tiredness and like brain fog going on. So I was thankful because I went into last week thinking I just wasn't sure if I would have any opportunities to talk to anybody. So I was thankful that the Lord allowed me to have 4 different conversations. So I've invited people to the Gut Health and Happiness group for education, basically. So that's it for me. But I will say, Kathy, I think it was that mentioned the one good day, one bad day. That is so very much me. Like, and it's so weird. Like, I don't know why some days I just wake up and I'm excited and just optimistic, and other days, man, it's like there's a brick wall stopping me. Like, I can't think of anybody. It's just weird, but I appreciate Kathy saying that.
Yeah. I don't know why either. I don't have any answers on that one, but I know I've definitely felt that way. It's really, really helpful. I will say that one thing is super helpful is if you have your Healthy Business Workbook that we started this out with, to have the lead section. Just write names in there of people that you haven't talked to yet. Anybody.
Yeah, I guess I find like I have that. I just like I don't have the courage or something. Like, just like she said, like nobody is gonna want to hear me talk about Plexus. So I'm like, I have it sitting right there. I don't know. It's weird.
It's very common. I mean, it's very common. We tend to look at names and go, oh, they are not going to want to know about it because of this and this and this. I just did a training last week. Was that only last week? Whew. Not this past week, but the week before. But anyway, and he talked about that. He said, we automatically think up reasons why they wouldn't want to hear about it. And I call that a red light story. We're giving ourselves a red light story. He said, what we need to do is to think up a green light story. Like, okay, red light story, maybe that's true, maybe it's not, we don't know. But let's purpose to think up a green light story, which would be like, just an example. So I have a sister-in-law who's do doTERRA oils. They're successful people. They don't need money. She has a lot on. She's super busy, whatever. And that would be a red light story. Like, to me, too busy. She's not going to be interested in the business. They don't need the money. She's already into oils and gets all her vitamins from them and things like that. So why would I ever even talk to her? But this past week, he challenged us to take some of these people that are influential people in our lives that we've always had a green light story for, red light story for, and write a green light story. Sorry, you guys just fell over. Now I have to find the one I wrote for her. She's very frugal, and so green light story would be that she'd like to get the products that they're using paid for, because they did start using some of the products because her husband was having health issues and they weren't getting help with the vitamins they were using. So they've started using the products, and that's a fact. That's already happened. And so now she would like to pay for the products that they're using. And she knows a lot of people that she could help. And she's very much a helper type of person. She loves to just help people and connect with people. And she's very sociable. And so she knows a lot of people that she would like to help. So that would be a little bit of a version of a green light story. Does that make sense? A little bit of a version of a green light. that,
Yes,
you know what?
I'm muting myself.
No, that's okay. I'm watching people's faces. That would be a version of a green light story. Like I can just as much tell myself that as telling myself the other side of things. They're both true. So it's just which one I decide to allow myself to think about. And when we can come up with a green light story and then approach them from that aspect, they might say no, that's okay. They might not be interested. That's totally fine, but they might be. And let me tell you guys, I will tell you a sprout from last week when I did this training, because he had us contact 5 people on our chicken list, which is 5 people that you absolutely are pretty much scared to go talk to about it. Totally. And one of them is, I'll be real vulnerable here. I have a fear of talking to men. For some reason, to me, that's super intimidating. But I have a friend who he works in a high government position, like not super high, but it's a government type of job, and he's pretty high up and he gets paid very, very well. But he would like to work from home and he can't. This takes him on the road all the time for months at a time. And I've known that. But he's very, very, very smart, and very, very successful financially. And his wife, I've talked to her about the products because she has health issues and she really gives me a cold shoulder about it. So lots of reasons not to ever approach this guy, right? But he's on my chicken list, and I was like, okay, so I'm going to go talk to Russell. And I sent him a message, and I just asked him if he would mind looking at some information and letting me know if anybody he knows comes to mind who would appreciate a business opportunity like this. And so I approached it that way. And he was like, sure, yeah, I can look at something for you. And I followed up with him this past Friday. And he gave me 3 names, which I've never had happen before, that somebody actually gives you names. One of them, he's like, yeah, one of them you can go ahead and contact her right away. He said the other 2, I want to see if they're okay with that first. But he also gave me permission to send him more information. When I asked him, so I said, what about for yourself? What did you think of the videos for yourself personally? And he was like, yeah, he said he was really, really impressed with the type of people in the company. That's what he really loves about it the most, because I mean, he works in a government position where you have to do everything so ridiculously by the book. And so he really loved the type of people that were in the videos. I had sent him Jarrett Abart's Diamond documentary and things like that. And so he said, yeah, he said, sure, send me some more information about how this is more of a people business. Because I told him it's more of a people business than it is a selling product business. It's more about building relationships with people and exposing them to the opportunity, and then just sorting it out, who's interested, who's not, things like that. And so that interested him, because to him, he wasn't really interested in just selling a product that seems too small for him. Like, he's a big thinker. He thinks big. So anyway, all that to say, out of the 5 chicken list people that I contacted, that was that one and one other one. There was 2 actually that I'm still following up with. The other 3 looked at it and then said, yeah, no, I can't really think of anybody. But I'm following up with him yet some more, and this other one. And it was totally a result of going, you know what? I have to write a green light story about why maybe this person would be interested after all, instead of just listening to my fears tell me why they're not interested. Because that's what it comes down to, we are afraid that they will say no, or that they will think poorly of us in some way. And that is our ego getting in the way. At least for me. Does that make sense? I hope that encourages somebody. I can see your faces. So that was one of my sprouts from this past week. So
Bethany,
yes.
I was just thinking of, it almost seems like there's a difference in those chicken list ones because they are successful and professional and those type of things, but it almost seems like their response often can be a lot better than those who are just not professional and not, they don't value your time as much oftentimes, it seems like. Whereas those who are busy and professional and intentional, a lot of times there's a different level of respect there. And so that's something that I've just been starting to notice.
Now that you mention it, I totally agree. Because every single one of those people on my chicken list actually replied instead of, the people that give you the silent treatment. They actually replied. And they either said yes or no. And then when I followed up with them, they said, yeah, no, I can't really think of anybody, or sure, we should get on the phone and talk about it. Yeah, that's a good point. I think you're right. It's the quality of people, and we're afraid to approach them because we respect them, and we're, I don't know, afraid they're going to respect us or something. But you're right. That's a good point. We should be less scared to approach them.
I think we're afraid that they're better than we are.
Uh-huh.
And so it's easier to go away, leave them alone. Don't bother them with little old me.
True. Yeah. All right. Well, did anybody have anything they particularly felt they wanted to share just as a matter of encouragement to everybody in this coming week?
I don't know if this is necessarily encouragement, but I just need everyone's prayers. I won't go into detail, but just a lot of challenges, and even another one that I became aware of yesterday. So just keep me in your prayers so that I can keep going and not give up on myself. So.
Okay. All right. Something I read in Psalms this morning, I wanted to share with everybody, but now I don't know if I can find it again because I didn't look at what chapter it was. But it was just a reminder to me to give my business back to God. When I am doing the work, mind you, when I'm doing the work, because I can't say, oh, God's going to take care of my business when I'm not actually out there doing anything with it. Like, hello. I've had people that have treated it that way, where they're like, well, if God wants me to talk to people, he'll just have to bring them to me, but they don't ever get out there and make any effort. I'm like, that's fine if you feel like that's where you need to be, but that's not a good business plan. I don't remember where it was, but it was just a strong reminder that unless the Lord is in this with you, they labor in vain that build it. You know that verse? I can't memorize the whole thing. Maybe one of you guys can. Recite.
I think it's Psalm 127, Bethany.
127?
I think it's Psalm 127.
Okay. But yes, I have this new Bible and I can't find anything in it. But yeah, it was just such a good reminder that it's like, you know what? Give it back to God, put it back in his hands, do the work, stop worrying about it, just do the work, just stop thinking about it and do it, and then give the results back to him. And there's so much freedom in that. Another quote that I read, I think that my mom shared this past week, was doing it. The goal is not to do it perfectly. The goal is to try your very best, to do your very best, and be glad when it's better, when you're doing better. It was something along those lines. But yes, here it says, unless Adonai builds the house, its builders work in vain. Unless Adonai guards the city, the guards keep watch in vain. In vain do you get up early and put off going to bed, working hard to earn a living, for he provides for his beloved even when they are asleep. And then here in a chapter later, it says, how happy is everyone who fears Adonai and who lives by his ways. It's, you will be happy. You will eat what your hands have produced. You will be happy and prosperous. And then it goes on to say that your wife will be like a fruitful vine in the inner parts of your house. Your children around the table will be like shoots from an olive tree. This is the kind of blessing that will fall on him who fears Adonai. But it was just good reminders to me to put it back in the Lord's hands, to fear the Lord and live by his ways, which means working with diligence, because that is definitely a biblical commandment. It says you will eat what your hands have produced. You will be happy and prosperous. So to me, that was really encouraging this morning. So why don't we, does anybody, I have not been on my computer yet today. Does anybody know the details on the latest special?
Yes, you have to order either one bag of Active and 1 bottle of Balance. You do not have to be an ambassador. Anyone, a customer or ambassador, can do it. And when you do that, you're going to get a free bottle of hemp oil. But you will get an email that lets you know when you can choose, what one you want to choose of the hemp oils. And it doesn't show up on the order, but once you make that order, it qualifies you for that. And then you'll get an email the first part of August.
Okay.
To choose which one you want. But it can be a customer or an ambassador. You don't have to be an ambassador to do it.
Interesting. Okay. So they want to get it out there and get people testing it, I'm assuming.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Sweet. Why don't we pray together real quick yet before we go off? And I wanted to also just throw it out there. Next week, this coming Monday in a week, I'm hoping to have something very cool for our accountability call. I thought we'd get somebody on here to give us a little bit of training and encouragement live, just for our special group and people who are being consistent and actually making the call a priority. So I have yet to work out some details, but that is coming. So Jesse, do you want to go ahead and just close this with some prayer?
Yes.
Thank you.
Heavenly Father, I thank you so much for Bethany facilitating this, and I thank you for this group of ladies that we can just encourage each other and cheer each other on, and the accountability that helps us to keep going in the busy times and in the times of discouragement and challenges. And we just ask for your wisdom and your guiding in our business each day. Those who we need to reach out to, how to approach them, just wisdom in even asking the right questions to know more where they're at in life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I pray that we would, that you would flow through us, that people could sense your love and your care. Just that this is to each of us so much more than a business and the products, but truly it is a ministry. We want to be your hands and feet to people, because we know that you don't like to see people suffer. You want to see people thriving and blessed. And so we just pray that we'd be your hands and feet in doing that, and also that would tear down a lot of our fears that we see. It's not about us. It's not about our success, but it's just going forth and being your ambassador first and foremost, as we're a Plexus ambassador. And I just pray that in those days when we feel inadequate, or that we feel stuck, like there's a barrier, that we would take a moment to sit down and be quiet, listen to your still small voice, to draw that confidence from you of who you are and who we are in you. That's what we go forth in the days when we are nothing we have nothing, we feel like we have nothing to give, that we know that everything that we are and everything that we give is from you, from your hands, from your very throne, because when we are in you, we have access to everything that you've given your son as he's seated at your right hand, and you've given him access to everything. And so I just pray that we'd have confidence in that, and that lives would be changed, that this is an inroad to ministering to people's spirits as we minister to their bodies and as we minister to their daily needs financially. So we just thank you for this opportunity, because we know that to those who have been given much, much is required, and we know we've been given much in health and much in finances, and so we thank you for this trust that you've placed in us, and we ask that you help us to be good stewards of it. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
All right. Thank you so much, everybody, for hopping on. We will see you all next week. Don't forget to post a picture of your worksheet from this past week.
All right, thank you.
All right. Have a good week.